That investigation has revealed a broad, underground criminal network responsible for distributing large quantities of ketamine to Mr. Perry.
The investigation into the potential murder of Matthew Perry is still in full effect, and now a bombshell in that 2 celebrities are suspected to be involved. But officers seized an iPhone and a laptop from a famous woman's room at a sober living residence in LA and brought her in for questioning.
I get the 3 of Swords, which can signify at least 3 people who could be involved in this situation in some way, shape, or form.
When it comes to Hollywood, the truth is often stranger and darker than fiction. The tragic and untimely death of Matthew Perry has rocked Tinseltown, but the latest twist in this heartbreaking saga has the entire industry reeling.
They found text messages discussing how much they would charge Matthew Perry for the drug.
According to an explosive new leak from federal sources, footage has surfaced that could expose the shocking truth behind Perry's death.
The DEA, the LAPD, they have made arrests in connection with his death that involved ketamine.
Was it really just a tragic accident, or is there something far more sinister at play? Let's find out. Hollywood's glittering facade just cracked wide open, and the shocking truth underneath is sending shockwaves through the industry. The investigation into Matthew Perry's tragic death has taken a dark and unexpected turn, revealing a tangled web of crime and deceit. At the center of this storm are 5 individuals now indicted and charged, including Perry's live-in assistant, 2 doctors, and a mysterious woman known only as the ketamine queen. This isn't just a case of negligence. Authorities have uncovered a broad underground criminal network tied to the beloved actor's demise. As the story unfolds, the question on everyone's lips is, how deep does this corruption go? And who else in Hollywood might be implicated? The industry is in full panic mode as the spotlight now shifts from the red carpet to the shadows where secrets fester.
Police have made at least 1 arrest in connection to the death of Matthew Perry.
In a stunning twist straight out of a Hollywood thriller, Jasmine Sangha, the 41-year-old dubbed the Ketamine Queen, and Salvador Plasencia, the notorious Dr. P, are now at the center of a scandal that has everyone talking. Sangha, known for her secretive operations, allegedly ran a high-stakes stash house in North Hollywood, where authorities unearthed a fortune in illegal D during a raid in March. And it gets juicier. Both Sangha and Dr. P are hit with a slew of serious charges, including conspiracy to peddle ketamine, D-distribution tied to Perry's death, and even tampering with federal records. The plot thickens as these 2 are now behind bars, their empire of chaos unraveling in the harsh light of day. Hollywood's elite are scrambling to distance themselves from the scandal as whispers of corruption and criminal networks spread like wildfire. It turns out the web of intrigue surrounding Matthew Perry's death is even more tangled than anyone imagined. Kenneth Iwamasa, Perry's live-in assistant, along with Eric Fleming, a friend of the actor who moonlighted as a street D dealer, and Dr. Mark Chavez, another physician, have all copped to lesser charges in court this August. The plot thickens with revelations that Dr. Salvador Plasencia and Dr. Chavez were allegedly in cahoots to score ketamine, which Plasencia then supplied to Iwamasa.
He then worked with Mr. Perry's live-in assistant, defendant Kenneth Iwamasa, to distribute that ketamine to Mr. Perry.
And here's where it gets truly scandalous. From September 2023 until Perry's death on October 28, 2023, these 3 individuals reportedly funneled around 20 vials of ketamine to the actor for a staggering $55,000. These defendants took advantage of Mr. Perry's addiction issues to enrich themselves. They knew what they were doing was wrong, Estrada said at a Thursday press conference. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyway. In the end, these defendants were more interested in profiting. Imagine that. The same stars who've been gracing our screens could be linked to something as dark as this. What if the so-called glamour of Hollywood is just a mask for a more sinister underbelly? These new developments are raising eyebrows and fueling the idea that there's a much bigger conspiracy at play here.
Ms. Mueller's past choices may have put her in a position to provide some incidental anecdotal background to the authorities investigating Mr. Perry's death.
So is it possible that these celebs were part of some high-stakes game, using Perry as a pawn in their dirty little secrets? What if this whole thing is just the tip of the iceberg, with more shocking revelations to come? The more you dig, the more it looks like the truth might be way uglier than we ever imagined.
It's very tricky because he was being prescribed ketamine for clinical reasons.
Furthermore, it's come to light that Jasveen Sangha was apparently busy making deals in the weeks leading up to Matthew Perry's tragic death. Over just 2 weeks in October, Sangha allegedly peddled around 50 vials of ketamine for a cool $11,000 in cash. Partnering up with Eric Fleming and Perry's assistant Kenneth Iwamasa, she orchestrated a covert distribution network. But the drama doesn't end there. Authorities have uncovered a treasure trove of incriminating text messages on the defendants' phones. Using encrypted apps like Signal, these messages paint a chilling picture of the underground operation that ultimately led to Perry's demise.
He wrote in a text message in September 2023, quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay." He also stated in text messages that he wanted to be Mr. Perry's sole.
The scandal surrounding Matthew Perry's death has drawn in a heavyweight team of investigators from the Los Angeles Police Department, the DEA, and even the U.S. Postal Service. Launched in May, the criminal probe has been peeling back the layers of Perry's illicit ketamine use, a D long known for its recreational use, but now making headlines for its surprising potential in treating depression. Detectives have been meticulously tracking how Perry acquired this controversial substance, and their findings have sparked a massive investigation into a network of shady deals and dangerous dealings.
Spikes in blood pressure, and including respiratory issues that can deprive the brain of oxygen. For that reason, it is a drug that must be administered by medical professionals.
On October 28th, 2023, the actor was discovered by his assistant, having drowned in the hot tub of his Pacific Palisades home. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office reports that Perry's death was caused by a lethal dose of ketamine, which led to severe cardiovascular overstimulation and respiratory depression. The concentration of ketamine in his blood was alarmingly high, comparable to what's used for general anesthesia. The medical examiner's office has labeled the acute effects of the D as the primary cause of death, with drowning, coronary artery disease, and the impact of buprenorphine, a medication used to treat opioid addiction, listed as contributing factors.
The LA County Medical Examiner's Office also noting secondary contributors including drowning, coronary artery disease, and a medication often prescribed to treat opioid dependence.
According to authorities, Sangha was the one who sold the batch of ketamine that led to Matthew Perry's tragic death. During a raid on her Los Angeles residence, officers uncovered what can only be described as a D-selling emporium. The search yielded a staggering haul: 80 vials of ketamine, 1,000 methamphetamine pills, C, Xanax, and a collection of other illegal prescription D. Adding to the intrigue, investigators also found a detailed ledger in Sangha's home, meticulously recording names and D weights. The defendants are alleged to have attempted to cover up what they had done after reading news reports of Perry's death. After Perry's death, Placencia allegedly falsified medical records and notes to legitimize his practices concerning the star.
They knew what they were doing was wrong. They knew what they were doing was risking great danger to Mr. Perry, but they did it anyways.
Fleming pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine and 1 count of distribution of ketamine resulting in death. He admitted in court documents that he distributed the lethal ketamine dose from Sangha and distributed 50 vials of ketamine to Iwamasa. Iwamasa pleaded guilty on Aug. 7-1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine causing death. He admitted to the court that he repeatedly injected Perry with the D and had no medical training other than instructions given to him by Dr. Placencia. He performed multiple injections on Perry on the day the actor died. Chavez pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine. In his plea deal, he admits to selling ketamine to Placencia, including some diverted from a ketamine clinic he had owned. He also made false representations to a wholesale ketamine distributor and used a phony prescription for ketamine lozenges using the name of a former patient. After his death, friends confirmed that Perry was undergoing ketamine therapy. However, the actor's most recent session had been a week and a half before his death, according to the medical examiner's report. No other D were found in Perry's system, and there was no paraphernalia discovered in his home, officials said. And let's be honest, he has talked about his DA many times. In his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry wrote about undergoing ketamine therapy. "I often thought that I was dying during that hour," he said. "Oh, I thought, this is what happens when you die. Yet I would continually sign up for this shit because it was something different, and anything different is good." He added, "Taking K is like being hit in the head with a giant happy shovel. But the hangover was rough and outweighed the shovel. ketamine was not for me. Perry had been open about his decades-long struggles with addiction to A and opioids, recalling in his 2022 memoir how, at the height of his addiction, which was during his later years on the classic NBC sitcom, he was taking 55 Vicodin pills a day. According to the medical examiner's report after his death, a psychiatrist and an anesthesiologist who also served as Perry's primary care physician were the medical professionals known to be treating Perry in October. But the case is even more complicated because some celebrities' names are also coming up in the investigation. So far, Charlie Sheen's ex-wife, Brooke Mueller, has been questioned by the cops about her connection to Perry, though she hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing. But that's not all. It has also uncovered the name of another actress who's now tangled in this messy investigation. The pressure is mounting, and this scandal could expose some shocking truths about the seedy underbelly of Hollywood.
We're hearing reports that murder charges could be filed. And that's really what is happening in these cases.
Matthew Perry wanted to be remembered as more than just Chandler from Friends. And while he made a difference when he was alive by speaking so openly about his issues with substance abuse, it sounds like his death could have an impact too, as the investigation could expose dealing in Hollywood. Authorities continue to look into how Perry procured the large amount of ketamine that was in his system when he drowned, and mail fraud may be involved.
The autopsy result revealed that Matthew Perry had enough ketamine in his system for general anesthesia, so enough to have been operated on. So obviously that was such a high dose.
The investigation into Matthew Perry's drowning continues 8 months after the actor was found dead in his hot tub. Authorities have been questioning his acquaintances, even seizing a laptop and phone from Charlie Sheen's ex-wife, Brooke Mueller, who has reportedly been cooperating with the investigation and remains adamant she had nothing to do with Perry's death. One avenue that's being looked into, according to former CIA and FBI Special Agent Tracy Walder, is mail fraud. As she said, there's been an explosion in D-rings sending prescriptions through the mail. Mail fraud is a federal offense, and the agencies handling the investigation into Matthew Perry's death, the Los Angeles Police Department, US DEA, and US Postal Inspection Service, are allegedly preparing to file charges against multiple people who may have been involved. Mail fraud is just one means by which Matthew Perry could have gotten the ketamine that was found in his system, Walder said, pointing out that often people will pay friends to give them their prescription. Either way, no murder charges are expected to be filed, as Perry is presumed to have taken the ketamine himself. The whole 9 Yards actor was reportedly receiving ketamine treatments around the time of his death, but an autopsy ruled out that the D he'd taken could have been from his last treatment, which reportedly took place a week and a half before his October 28, 2023 passing. Matthew Perry admitted to having abused ketamine in his memoir Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, which came out a year before he died. He described it as feeling like he'd been hit in the head with a giant happy shovel, and said they might as well have called it Maddie. It sounds like the authorities are prepared to hold multiple people accountable for supplying Matthew Perry with the D that reportedly led to his death, and possibly expose some of Hollywood's seedy D dealing methods. So this B-list star, who had been very close to Perry for years and even shared screen time with him, is now embroiled in the investigation. They were seen in a photo together at a doctor's office known to prescribe ketamine. When contacted this week, the doctor's office claimed they never treated Perry and said, "We are not talking with any law enforcement about any cases at this time." However, the actress's cell phone could be a key target for the cops. A source told In Touch magazine, "I am 100% sure the feds will find the text messages between the two that will expose a lot of information that could help their investigation." Former CIA and FBI Special Agent Tracy Walder told Page 6 that multiple people could be charged, explaining how D rings using mail fraud to send prescription medication have exploded. "Intent is going to be the question," she said. "They obviously knew what they were doing was wrong by D dealing. However, did they actively know that by procuring this, it would kill him?" Another startling development has emerged in the aftermath of Matthew Perry's untimely death, which occurred when he drowned in his hot tub due to the acute effects of ketamine in October 2023. According to In Touch, the LAPD has questioned a female celebrity regarding her potential involvement in the tragedy. They've been actively investigating Matthew's death, and she's a well-known figure in her own right. They first met during rehab, and their friendship was unexpected. A source disclosed in a report published on Wednesday, June 19th. Although the woman's identity remains undisclosed, In Touch revealed she is married to an A-list star. The source acknowledged the difficulty in determining her exact role in Matthew's death, but emphasized that she denies any involvement. She's retained legal counsel and has cooperated in multiple meetings with law enforcement since they searched her sober living residence. The insider added she's remaining tight-lipped, but the issuance of a warrant suggests authorities have credible leads. She's deeply distraught regardless of her involvement. This situation could push her to the brink.
Police are now questioning Brooke Mueller, Charlie Sheen's ex-wife, as a person of interest. Perry and Mueller reportedly met in rehab and stayed friends.
The source continued that Matthew had been undergoing ketamine infusion therapy prior to his death. However, the ketamine detected in his system during the autopsy did not match his last treatment, which occurred over a week before he died. Consequently, the DEA and U.S. Postal Inspection Service, in collaboration with LAPD, are investigating the source of the substance found in Matthew Perry's system. In Touch also reported that the unidentified woman was fully cooperative when authorities arrived with a search warrant at her sober living residence. She voluntarily surrendered her iPhone and computer, though she was neither arrested nor handcuffed. Matthew's passing on October 28, 2023, at his Pacific Palisades home devastated his family, friends, and fans, and tributes poured in for the actor known for his humor and warmth. But the aftershocks of Matthew Perry's tragic death continue to be felt throughout Hollywood, and now one of his oldest showbiz colleagues has broken her silence. Social media was flooded with tributes as Matthew Perry's fans and fellow actors rushed to pay their respects following his sudden passing. Ione Skye, who starred alongside Perry in his 1988 movie debut, A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon, is the latest star to eulogize the late actor. Jennifer Aniston, David Schwimmer, Matt LeBlanc, Lisa Kudrow, and Courtney Cox released a joint statement as they grappled with their loss. The remaining members of the Friends cast said, "We are shocked and deeply, deeply saddened by our beloved friend Matthew's passing," the trio wrote. "It still seems impossible. All we can say is that we feel blessed to have H add him as part of our lives. He was a brilliant talent. It's a cliche to say that an actor makes a role their own, but in Matthew's case, there are no truer words. From the day we first heard him embody the role of Chandler Bing, there was no one else for us." Their tribute continued. "We will always cherish the joy, the light, the blinding intelligence he brought to every moment, not just to his work, but in life as well. He was always the funniest person in the room. More than that, he was the sweetest, with a giving and selfless heart." The trio ended their statement with a somber play on the series' episode titles. "We send all of our love to his family and friends. This truly is the one where our hearts are broken." Meanwhile, Perry's last interviews and social media posts provide a poignant and heartbreaking reminder of the actor's generosity of spirit. In the final Instagram video that he posted, which was taken during his promotional tour for his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry offered his support and advice for those struggling with addiction.
The disease doesn't care where it goes, you know? There's a stigma attached to it, and that's got to end.
In an interview, Perry tells people dealing with addiction that they're not on their own and reminds them that there are others out there enduring the same struggles. He emphasized,
"I want people to understand that they're not alone."
Perry added that addicts have a disease and that this disease is never their fault.
There's a very famous kind of line that people don't change. I happen to know that people do change, and I see that every day.
At approximately 4 p.m., authorities were called to his residence where they found him unresponsive. Sources who requested anonymity due to the ongoing investigation did not specify the cause of death. While no illicit D were found on the premises, sources mentioned that prescription medications were recovered at his home. Los Angeles Police Captain Scott Williams, who leads the robbery homicide division that is investigating Perry's death, said the cause of death may not be known for some time, but at this point, foul play is not suspected. However, it seems like there is no one as sad as the Friends cast. The sudden passing of Matthew Perry has deeply impacted his Friends co-stars, leaving them in shock. Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, David Schwimmer, Matt LeBlanc, and Lisa Kudrow all were anticipated to release their separate statements. Sources have also revealed that all of them are profoundly devastated by the loss.
Nobody had ever dealt with that. And, you know, the idea of even losing him.
Although the primary cast of Friends has not made a public statement about Matthew Perry's passing, an industry source disclosed to Page Six that Perry's former co-stars are deeply affected by the news and are in the process of preparing a joint tribute in memory of their friend. Matthew Perry appeared on Friends alongside Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer. The series, which aired for 10 seasons from 1994 to 2004, catapulted all 6 of them to stardom. However, their bond extended beyond fame, as the group formed close relationships that transcended their on-screen friendships. Perry, who candidly discussed his battles with D and AA over the years, always found support from his co-stars in his pursuit of sobriety. Jennifer Aniston, who starred as Rachel Green on the series, remained especially close with Perry following the series' end. She was the one that reached out the most. You know, I'm really grateful to her for that, Perry told Diana Sawyer in 2022. In his memoir, Perry also revealed that Aniston was the first person in the cast to call him out when his A became obvious on the set of Friends. "I know you're drinking," she said, Perry wrote, recalling the day that Aniston confronted him in his trailer. "How can you tell?" I said. "I never work drunk. I've been trying to hide it." However, Aniston revealed that it was clear to the entire cast. "We can smell it," she said in a kind of weird but loving way, and the plural "we hit me like a sledgehammer," Perry added. But don't you think Matthew Perry's death is shaping up to be yet another celebrity tragedy buried in mystery, following in the footsteps of Michael Jackson and Prince? The eerie similarities are hard to ignore. Jackson's and Prince's deaths were both clouded by lingering questions and a sense of unfinished business, leaving fans and critics alike grappling with unanswered queries and speculative theories. Jackson's passing from acute propofol intoxication and Prince's from a fentanyl overdose both sparked intense scrutiny and conspiracy theories, with many believing that the true stories behind their deaths were obscured by powerful interests. Now, as the shocking details of Perry's demise emerge, there's a growing sense that Hollywood's elite may once again be working to conceal the full truth. Perry's death from a lethal dose of ketamine, coupled with the discovery of a vast underground D network, feels like it's following a familiar, troubling pattern. The recent revelations about Sangha's D-selling emporium and the involvement of high-profile individuals only add fuel to the fire. One person wrote, "That's sad, man. Lots of other lives lost the same way won't garner any attention, even sadder." Another one added, "That's heartbreaking that they knowingly took advantage of him. What a cruel world we live in Tinseltown, where the bright lights often mask the darkest secrets. It's no surprise that the true extent of Perry's story might be hidden behind layers of deceit. The industry's penchant for covering up scandals and protecting its own makes it all too plausible that this case could also become a mystery wrapped in layers of obfuscation." As investigators dig deeper and more sensational details come to light, the haunting question remains: will we ever get a clear picture, or will this become just another enigmatic chapter in Hollywood's ever-expanding book of secrets? Anyways, that's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.